Today, we follow a journey that dances across seas, from Java to Indus, carried by the rhythm of peace. Our guest now, she moves not just with her feet, but with memory, history, heartbeat. She brings us a story that breathes of bodies of our chief and also a border that weaves. So today, this isn't just a solar ship, it's a choreography of care, a vision of how art becomes diplomacy everywhere. Everyone, a dance solar, a storyteller, a builder, leading us from rhythm to reflections. Please welcome Ferial Amal Aslam.
Terima kasih. That's a very generous introduction and beautifully said. I'm honored. I don't know. I'm just here going to share a story with you, but Selamat Siang, Hatur Nuhun. That's in Sundanese because I live in Bandung. And in Jogja, I guess you would say salam. Yeah? Or if there's a different word, please do educate me. I'd love to learn. It's an honor for me to be here in this very prestigious forum. I've been following online, but actually long before that, about 15 years ago, I was invited by one of your faculty when I was writing my dissertation in Bandung to come in this forum. Kelly Swayze, who's an alumni of my program in anthropology at University of Hawaii. That's my second master's in anthropology after Pakistan. And that's where, but that I couldn't come due to different, many personal reasons or whatever, didn't happen. And so it's really lovely. I just chanced to come to visit a wonderful mentor, one of a kind, Pasal, who's in the audience here, Pasal Riato. Indonesia is only, I would say, like dance scholar, he's a living legend. And I'm really honored to call him a mentor. So I came to see him, this talk, just thanks to an invitation by Ida. And here I am. So I also am, especially before I move on, just want to acknowledge this land of Jogja for many reasons. And I also have loved ones that I have buried here. So, and it's part of the reason I chose to share this. I think it's the first time I'm sharing about this, my cultural diplomacy that happened to me as life happens. So, actually, late ambassador Pak Burhan, Muhammad Burhan, he was posted. I met him in Islamabad. As a fighter, you give back time to your country. So I was back in Islamabad, where I'm born, my hometown. And my husband's Indonesian, and thus Indonesia comes to me via love. That's why I say the land of my love. It's really all of my training is in South Asian sort of dance, and my PhD in that. My guru's work, which I'll be sharing with you, because that's the foundation, sort of. And that's how cultural diplomacy came into my life. So I do want to I made a prayer on the way here. I'm in touch with his family. I said a Fatiha for his soul and his wife. They both died in a tragic plane crash along with 20 dignitaries at that time in Islamabad. So they were right here, and it was his vision, this golden bridge of harmony between Indonesia, Pakistan through the arts. So I have more on that as we come in. So just want to acknowledge them, and Mas Rosso also, he was a beautiful dancer and designer. I also collaborated with him, and he also passed away. So to all of those souls, so thank you for inviting me to come so I can offer, and thank you for listening to my story. All right. So there's a lot on my plate here, I realize. So I will start with a disclaimer. The title, of course, this is the first time I'm sharing about cultural diplomacy, but my life, basically, I'm just saying, just the beginnings. And it's not my expertise as a I'm trained as an anthropologist. This is what my expertise. And that's me in my PhD gown. So I wear many hats. of course, anthropologist, first two loves, first two masters, first love. And then I researched in anthropology of music for my first master's, and then I got into dance, and I'm still in both of them. Stayed with that. And then, yeah, today's story is about more of the peace through, and yes, peace through art. So like doctor diplomacy, and then out of that come, and I will share with you, I will try and share with you. I won't go into much about my doctoral. I will introduce you guys. It's all available online. You can Google UCLA PhD thesis, my name, the whole thing. And I have published recently 2 journals, articles. So might share some of the recent work on that. So this is like, I will introduce, I assume, I don't think, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is anyone here using dance scholar approach in their research or familiar with that maybe? Maybe practice as research is another term that is popularly, I think. I do know one of your students, and I'm grateful to reconnect, Mastraka. He reconnected me with CRCS. So I've been, yeah, I invited him to my classes, and so here I am. So yeah, after all those hats, kind of, this is a quote that just stays on my desktop all the time. So I'm just sharing it with you because that's where I am right now. In this moment of time in my life, been there, done that, multiple degrees and and different stage of my life. So I feel that this is my goal in what I do now. Can I engage and witness the divine in all of the divine's beings, whatever name you want to call it. And it's such an honor to be in this program. Such exciting things happening here and in Indonesia, actually, generally too. So that's kind of what drives me. Yeah. So, yeah, so I will to, in the time we have for my talking, just introduce what I do because Mas Enchu, and can I say Mas Enchu, asked me a few questions about my peace through arts work. And so I thought I will, even though I'm talking about cultural diplomacy, a lot on my plate. So I think I will give you a little introduction. And I know we have a long chatting session, so please feel free to ask me. And I'm excited to learn with you guys. So it's kind of like, I summarize this. I was called by Peace Generation in Bandung to join one of the forums. And I realized thinking, this is what I do now. And it's, so I research also is in this domain, societal healing and change through forgotten history. So that was a term from my dissertation. So I'm talking in the South Asian context. And now I continue to be interested in those who get left out, who's not like in the history books and who are, so I try to stay with that. And yeah, you can look up for, you can see the thesis online too, you can see. And then the workshops, the Peace Through Arts workshops kind of happen post-PhD on an invitation by, as a Fulbrighter back home in Pakistan. They have this very exciting International South Asian Peace Activists Conference. And these are people who are not in the arts. They're people who just really passionate about, and they work in peace building all over South Asia. So I was asked to devise a workshop for them. Peace through arts. I was told to do that. I was like, what? How do I do that? So yeah, that's where it came from. Alhamdulillah, last month or so, one of my friends I met at Solo, we were both invited, Juliana. I think most people are familiar. This is Romania. So we were both at Solo, and I got a chance to share. That's the most recent Peace Through Art work, and we actually ended up collaborating. And so it took us 3 hours, right? It was like, it's a long, slow process. It can be longer. So maybe I'll just tell you, or maybe I have this time at the end to just do some breathing together. We'll see. We'll see how time goes. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to come back and do that, a whole session on that time, maybe we can have, if there's interest. I'd love to, maybe with Jana also. And yes, so I teach, I am passionate about teaching. It's in my blood, my mother. And I guess I realized that after moving to Indonesia. So I, as a Fulbright, I went back. I've been in the development sector. I headed a department of development studies. That's other life, another reincarnation, whatever. So what I missed when I moved here, and I am a mother of year old, and I was happy to just be. And I realized I just really miss teaching. So, but I want to teach what I love. And so that's interdisciplinary. My training is interdisciplinary. So I end up for ITB also, I designed innovative Urdu Hindi. I would love the Pakistani student. There's one to ask me later about it, but I'd tell you more about it towards the end. So that's also a piece kind of like in the curriculum building kind of for the students of across tension borders, intent, bringing content that engages controversial history. So that's what I do to the language. And then I've been asked to develop Seni dan Lingkukan, which is art and environment, and 3 years, and Tubuh Sebagai, which is body as medium of expression, and Seni ethnography recently last semester, which is art and ethnography. So that's my teaching. Yeah, so the peace building, come to the peace building. So yes, one moment about my audience, and that's also something that happened my last month visit to Jogja. And thanks to your CRC student from Pakistan who was eager to meet a Pakistani scholar, and she helped arrange many Pakistanis in Gajah Mada University. I didn't know. I hardly know that many in the whole of Bandung, maybe. So I was, so yeah, that about my audience. And because Pasal is here, my mentor who keeps asking me this very important question. Are you a Pakistani living in Indonesia? Or are you an Indonesian who comes from, that? Like, I'm paraphrasing your words, so maybe you say the exact line you said to me. Or are you, an Indonesian who has roots in Pakistan? So I always never been able to answer because I didn't feel like I was in between. I felt like both because I'm in this space. So this really helped me meeting the Pakistani student. I hope I hope to meet them for dinner, hopefully later. Last month reminded me that yes, both my lands. So it's the youth, the Pakistani youth, as well as my daughter. She's a cross-cultural baby. She's 6, so it's both. And reminding them both ways. So for the Pakistani, you will maybe, I hope after some of my sharings, understand a little more about why it's such a problem, why dance, all of the arts, but most of all dance is so problematic. To dance is so problematic in where I come from. And then maybe just reminding the Indonesians to really cherish and celebrate what you have, and definitely not go in the direction which can be. So part of the sharing is that, but about shared spaces, especially in a globalized, constantly globalizing world, and like the wisdom of the lands, the indigenous wisdom. That's something I'm so excited to be here too, because this department is like, wow, I'm blown away by the wisdom here in this area. So I would love to more with you guys on that. So that's my audience. So maybe I will at times read a little and tell me on the time-wise, where maybe in when we're halfway time, if someone will just tell me, I tend to go on and on. So I'm going to try and share with you a little about my research, a little about the choreographic work, is very many hats, and the diplomacy-related dance work, and then a little about. So my research, as I already shared with you, interestingly before, and my PhD is available online, but my master's is in different museums, in London Museum, Lahore Museum. It's really interesting. I didn't even realize, because I was passionate about music. So I decided to research this clan of musicians who are called the Rubabis in the city of Lahore. And I was told to record their genealogies because they come from this clan. Very interesting case of shared space between Sikhs and Muslims for generations. Because the founder, Guru Nanak, for those who may, I think most of you would. So Guru Nanak was the founder of the Sikh religion. So his buddy happened to be a Muslim musician who played the rabab beautifully. So on his request, why don't you help me share the words of, these wisdom? He helped in the spreading of Sikhism around. At that time, we're talking about land which was not partitioned. Yeah, I'm from Pakistan, and Pakistan, I think everybody would know probably, but so 1947 only, as early as 1947, that these lands are partitioned on communal grounds. Whereas goes way back, this history of shared and for generations till today, the Rubabis continue to be Muslims, and they continue to remember, learn by heart the Shabad Kirtan, the words of the Guru, the holy book of the Sikhs, and teach it to the Sikhs. And they have this shared space. They don't eat certain food, and that's kind of but maybe for Indonesia, it's no big deal. But believe me, for my generation, and I'll explain, let me get a little into that, those forgotten histories, it's unheard of. Because I grew up, so yeah, I'm pretty old, 19, so 70s, when the decade that I'm growing up, it's like the era of Islamization, because there was a martial law administrator, and he had put a martial law and officially banned dance. So dance is the only art that officially banned, and this is just in the 70s, right? So what happened is the ban finished maybe in he lived like he was murdered in an airplane. So after he was killed, the ban was off. But what doesn't change are legislations and rules. So that's the 70s. And now only about less than 5 years ago, now they changed a no objection certificate. It's all of these years. Every time we have to perform, every dancer, artist, theater person has to sign this no objection certificate before they can allow to. It says, I will not indulge in any vulgar activity such as dance. So that's the statement you sign, and then you're allowed to dance. But when something is like institutionalized like that, and it's in the archive like that, so you can imagine the stigma that comes with that in the culture and society. So that's why, even though my guru, and that's Indumita, she has now, she's 95 this year, living legend, very blessed. And she did receive 2 years back a Pride of Performance, and they created a category for her, which is the first time in Pakistani history to have a category for a performing teacher to be awarded. But she spent like 6 decades. So even 6 decades of 2,000 students, only there's 4 or 5 of us who continue to, keep her work. And actually maybe less than 4 or 5. It's her daughter, who's of course, she's a DC-based incredible artist, who repertoire and her own modern work. I'm a dance scholar that she has produced, through her work, because I spent since 2000, 25 years, with her. Her word is like, we lost a generation of teachers. So she was still teaching us till her retirement show, which I'll show you a little clip of, in 2017. She officially said, I'm retiring now, you guys take over. But she's always said, I should not be teaching at this age. And I realized here, I'm part of different communities. I'm a part of the Sundanese classical dance with the Ibu Indrawati, and then the late Irawati, who just passed away. And it's such a joy for me as a Pakistani artist to see the generations of teachers. I mean, it makes me really. And last month, Pasal, I was blessed with Pasal took me to the Kraton, and I was crying. I just saw this performing. I get really emotional. It really is, and it's my teacher's words, it's a jihad to dance. She's not a Muslim. Interesting about her. So let me tell you a little about her, so you will understand a little. She is from, she's 95, so this is beyond partitions, right? This is the generation, my father's generation, her, only a few left, who this region of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh as this one, they lived it. We've grown up in partition, and for further, like 1971 Bangladesh, yet East Pakistan. Before that, it was East Pakistan, West Pakistan. So she's actually from a Bengali family, very educated Bengali family, Brahmins, some generations back, and they converted to Christianity, and then they're very very unique. Pakistan is like recounted at this current day Pakistan. And then she happened to marry a Muslim, she says, because she fell in love. And that's the time the partition happened. And then she moved with her husband, who was in the Pakistan army, to Pakistan. And we were blessed with, Bharatnatyam, the dance form that she learned from South India. Tell me, people know about Bharatnatyam? I think many people here would know already. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Anyone else in the students? Okay. Right. So Bharatanatyam, even if maybe even if you have seen Bharatanatyam, I would say that it's the in mostly I can assume safely, unless you have seen Garima Mitha or one of us to dance. So there is the Bharatanatyam, originally temple dance form, and most of the Bharatanatyam you will see will be like in kind of that sort of Hindu space. As for in this very kind of partition space that my teacher found herself with, she really loved the repertoire and she wanted it to continue. So she decided to, and it didn't matter to her that it's Hindu or what. For her, she's very philosophical. She comes from a line of philosophers, by the way, very close to ties to Gandhi. So she had this like kind of family, sort of like everyone's passionate about the Gandhian, sort of vision of keeping India together and all of that. So she did a lot of work to indigenize the form. Oh my God, Mas Yoga. This is Pa Burhan's son. Thank you so much for coming. It means so much. So yes. All right. So kind of for those of students here, there's a number of PhD students here also, right? So kind of this was my doctoral creative methodology. So what it started emerging as I had these interviews with her long before. I was in Hawaii. I was doing my master's in anthropology and I had been interviewing her already. I was like, this question, why do these few handful of dancers keep dancing, these female dancers? And there's so much stigma. Why do they do it? And I started those interviews and then they later became my PhD. So kind of like I looked at the moments in Pakistan's history and like with her life as the backbone, because she, interestingly, Bengali and then moved to Pakistan. And then she had also lived in different parts of Pakistan. So it became an interesting methodology to look at this people's history through the life of this critical biography for teacher. So her repertoire, her dance, and her life, and then these moments in history of this region. So that was pretty much. The rest you can read online if you're interested. So pretty much, I didn't even realize how much work she had done in indigenizing the repertoire that she had learned from her teachers in South India, because actually she learned it at a time where this Indian nationalism, South and North India, very different from each other. And so her grandfather, like close friend of Gandhi, who would always stay in their grandfather's house and sort of like they were really with close to that part of Indian history. So she wanted to learn Bharatanatyam, which is a South Indian dance form, in that spirit of bringing together North and South. And then she moves to further North India, which is Pakistan. And then she just, oh my God. And then it becomes all of the context I already told you, problematic. You cannot say. It's like saying growing up, if I said Hindu, I remember my child at school, said Hindu, I was told it's like a bad word, like you have to wash your tongue. You cannot say Hindu. That kind of like, communal in both sides. So India for Muslims but India still had as many Muslims left even after partition. So it's like unfinished business of partition. And my PhD, like by the proposal stage, I realized, oh my God, I didn't know, but this project is about the aftermath of partition, the unfinished business of partition. One of the scholars who I use in my thesis is Zamindar. She has a book called The Long Partition. So it's like not finished. It's like a decades long process which goes on. So anyway, so yes, she did that. So she did a lot of work in even involving in her music certain instruments, and that will not be going to die off. Like people started, everything at the cultural level started being divided. This is Muslim, this is Hindu. Like this became like a cultural policy over the decades after that, right? So anyway, so like even this is in the martial art times, but it didn't finish, like even when the martial art doesn't finish. So there's a lot of work to be done, and that she's done that in her repertoire, and I write about it. And yeah, and also in my process of when I was doing my PhD, I was invited at NUS for a conference. I was accepted at that PhD, my first presentation as a student, I think. How to write controversial and contested histories. And it was really productive for me too. take my methodology there and just way back in 2010. So why don't I want you guys to hear her voice for a minute. You can see this film, by the way, about Indu Mitta. I kind of, because of my research, and I was able to, when she was looking for funding for her 2017 retirement show, and this is the maestro who's gotten medals, from the government, but she cannot get a of support to present her 2017. This may give you an idea of how different. I know there are issues here, but like this is the maestro of this form. And so then I wrote to Fulbright, and I was able to get, because of my PhD thesis, a support for producing the show. But with the support came these filmmakers who we didn't really know much. And so, she said yes, and I said yes. That's another story for another time. I'm the executive producer of this film, though I had no, I should be more assertive about making certain decisions. There were many problematics. Another story, sharing another time. But she's written about it. If you Google articles, she's written her official statement. But you see, the trailer is, and you can get a glimpse of her talking about, just 1 minute I will play. See? So let's see if the sound works. I'll see the sound. Turn it up a little. Can you guys hear? Okay. And how's the sound? Can we make the sound a little better also? I'm just going to play a minute of this. I'll try to make this bigger. Well, the whole film is also available, by the way. Now it's open for public. So you can see the whole film. You'll see us too. Sorry, Pastor. No. It's secular, yes. That's her daughter, Terima Mitta. Do Google her. There's two films about her already made. Oh, yes. The latest film about Terima is made by an Indonesian filmmaker. You got to check that one out. It's called The Vigil. Yes. On her 80th. So they're from DC to pay tribute to her daughter, and the filmmaker follows her. Yeah. So this is the part, actually, I wanted to just stop where she says that, so the part where she says that to dance, to be a dancer, you be activist, and be the same as a prostitute, and it still hasn't changed much. That happened. So anyway, do check out the movie when you get a chance. So what I will just share, like my latest since then. This is way back 2017, right? There's a film. Well, film came out much later. It takes many years to get a film out also. And then since 2018 is when I moved to Indonesia. I decided to, we have a long distance. My husband was here, like giving back he's an Ithebe docent, and I was giving back my time to my country. So I was done with that promise. So I moved here. And it's been, and so this is, you can read more about this too. This is like my initial amazement. I call it even the curious case of the Sunans, and like just encountering the amazingly like enriched for me as a 7 years, new to Indonesia, but so different the context, and how the Hindu gods and goddesses in the stories of my repertoire, which I learned not as a Hindu god and goddesses, and really like learning about them. So me, it's like, even though I learned the dance for 25 years, but the brilliance of my teacher to make it like her strategies and tactics to make it survive and meaningful for the context for all mostly Muslim and some Christian male students, was like, she just removed the name. For her, it doesn't matter. It's the anthropomorphic, stories of a man and woman in love and like that. So I encountered and discovered Krishna in Hawaii when I went for my when I had Indian friends who were like, "Oh, this is Krishna." I was like, "Huh? I didn't know this was Krishna. I've been dancing this, you know." So just learning. So that journey for me, even though everyone assume I know all the Ramayana, you know, my husband knows like these stories. I'm learning from them, and now like, no, I wasn't allowed this history. So it's really enriching. So I will just read a. You can go and there's a link I can share with you guys too, the full article. But I will just read a little excerpt for you about this dance, and I'll just say briefly about the dance, and I'll show you. This is on in her retirement show. She choreographed this dance on me, and it happened like kind of process together. We were on Saraswati, and she decided to gift me or this like my gift to Indonesia, and she said, "You'll be appreciated there because." Um, and that was the only reason she taught me like a dance. Or, you know, we engaged with the Saraswati, otherwise we wouldn't say the word. Interestingly, in the process, we discovered this dried up river Saraswati, and that my the mentor, very famous anthropologist, Dr. Dani, writes a lot about. So it became part of this engagement with this history of my land and this and what the Saraswati represent. Because she was amazed when she visited her daughter in DC. She saw a I think Ganesha statue outside Ganesha embassy, and she was like, "Huh, what's this doing here? How can a Muslim country have this?" Like, and so she was like, "Oh wow!" So that was her journey too. Like, really realize that you must, yes. So then I share some of that, read out some of that. I do have it queued up, but hold on, or maybe not. So why don't you guys see? Would you like to see a glimpse of that piece? I wish the sound was a little better. Anyone can? Is there the sound better or not? I'll let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Okay. So I won't. I'll just play an excerpt. So basically, it starts with the dancer with her eyes closed, and she wanted to engage with the senses and how slowly, with all of our senses, engage and interact with the world. And then she's also philosophically thinking about how, you know, our third eye open. And then, so you will see that the dance with the blindfold. And I'm sorry, I don't think I can make it bigger, Pasal. Should I, unless I get out of this mode? Maybe the lights will help. Can we just, or does it matter? So this is called an ode to wisdom and beauty. Kasida Ilmo Jamal. Yes. So this was, I will skip the. You can also see this on my, if you Google my website, the whole thing is there if you're interested. I'll skip to the where, okay, you can read this part about the sound, touch, and when the eyes open, everything about is revealed. And she let me choreograph the ending. We were at the ending, so I just want to share that because she's very she's a secular oriented, so she's really like kind of tired of all this Sufi, she calls Sufi stuff in Pakistan, everyone doing this, you know. So but she knows that I'm interested in it. So she let me like, even though it's her choreography, we were stuck at the ending. And then she let me, I'll just come to the part when the eyes open. Okay. So yeah, the river Saraswati, which is now dried up, is the place where the Ganga and Jamna meet. So this is the place of the meeting of these lands. Ganga, as you all know from the India, and you know, Jamna. So I'm going to skip here. So she's eyes are closed, and then we'll go to the part when her eyes are open, and then I'll be quiet. You guys can hear this music also. Okay, this is where the eyes open. Yeah. I'll skip to the ending where we were stuck. So the Saraswati has all these symbols, right? There's associated with Goddess Saraswati, as I learned in this choreography at that time, 2007. The lamp, the book. We were kind of stuck with the ending, and then that's where she allowed me to just do what came to my heart. And for me, it was sterling, because that's my sort of, my passion, or how you say, my practice, actually, not my passion. It's just my practice. Yeah. And so we'll skip to that ending. And then I will venture into a little sample of dance scholar style. So what we do in dance scholar, if I don't know if anyone's familiar with dance scholar style, is I could be showing you a dance and I'm showing you a video, but you can also be dancing with the words. So I'll just give you a sample of that. Like Pasal saw me and said, "Oh, you're not wearing your costume." I said, "Oh, Pasal, today I will be like another time maybe, but I will be dancing like this." Okay. So this is about, by the way, just for it's a really time-consuming and love process. Working live with the musicians and then setting the beats and all of that. And actually, this was the last time Ustad Ajmal, one of the best really in Pakistan, of that he worked for us. Actually, the last was the 2019. You'll also see that. So now dance scholar style, how would I do that ending for you guys, just for you to sample it? So I'm reading an excerpt from a journal published by South Asian Dance Institutions last year, and it's available open access online, so you can read the rest. So I venture in that open field and embody the Devi Saraswati, inspired from this mighty river, both forgotten in the land of the pure. Pakistan means the land of the pure, land of my birth, as the other, a Hindu goddess, but celebrated in my second home by love, Indonesia. It is here that I write these words and discover in Indonesian language, even the word for dance is persembahan, translated as offering rather than performance. So this is my offering here ahead. As I begin to write and reflect on dance, I discover what awaited me and perhaps my generation all this time, and which was long known by elders of both the land of Indonesia and the continent, that what I saw as a Hindu god, in quotes, stories are actually narrations of, quote, luminaries, and like Krishna or Devi Saraswati. And this was shared with me by a cultural Javanese expert, Nani Abdul Rahman. She gave me that feedback, that why don't you call them luminaries? My dance is my offering to the dried out soul of the land of my birth, thirsty for the sounds and sights of the river, full of layers of alluvial riches hidden to the casual passerby. Today, Indonesia is the country with the largest numbers of Muslims in the world, and Islam was spread in Java, the most populous island in Indonesia, largely by these famous Wali Sangha, or 9 luminaries. Now I'm talking to the Pakistani students, who I realized last week had no idea. So that's why, it's not your fault. Not your fault. Or not memories. And it is to their creative genius and mindful preaching that we owe this celebration of diversity here. I see here that Devi Saraswati is one of them, a female luminary spreading her light, filled with wisdom, beauty, and aesthetics. So this is an excerpt. Here. Yeah, and that's more of that, more from you can read online. So this is something like this. It's called like a dance scholar style sort of writing, which is more in the humanities. And since I'm trained first in sciences with my first 2 masters, and then I decided to venture in this interdisciplinary program at World Arts Culture / Dance. So that's the humanities. So you perform your thesis there. You can do a combination of things here, which I'm excited to hear is happening now in rare programs here as well. Like arts, why I joined was like they're open to things and And it's a very exciting place, CRCS and as well. So yeah, so a little about that. Another quote, actually, yeah. So the body becomes the site of weaving together, research, memory, and imagination to invoke and create new collective memories and stories. This practice of storying will the tensions and differences between multiple stories reveal an emotional map of the physical choreography and trace connections, put us in conversation with various communities and in alignment with our commitment to decolonize knowledge production. So yes, that's also something that very excites me. New communities, how we can work together in creative, collaborative ways. So yes, so happy to see, meet new people and some not that new friends and mentors. So, okay, now I'll move on to the cultural diplomacy part. And like I said, my disclaimer, I have not trained in cultural diplomacy. Life happens, and that's the part. It's so meaningful to me that Babur Khan's son Yoga is here today, and I haven't seen you guys for a while. So this was useful for me as I was looking up for you guys too. Apparently, there is this program, cultural diplomacy as art, but I couldn't find much material, at least on their site and stuff. So it's all very new, and we can work together on it. I'll share what I have on my experience with dance. So I'll just share my story of how it happened to me. So here is a poster that my guru made me when I finished my PhD and I went back for my giving back time in 2012. While I was writing in Bandung, I had to move my body and I was just writing and on my mountaintop at home. And so I joined the Sundanese dance class, Sundanese classical dance class. So my teacher, the minute I came back, she said, she's always invited to the best festivals in Lahore. It's a very prestigious theater festival, and they allowed, they let dance happen there. So usually only these 3-4 dance teachers and their students. So we went to, this says Kadim Talukat, which is ancient connections. And that's the name of my teacher's school. Mazmoon Shok Islamabad will present Rafi Peer Theatre, very famous in Pakistan for theatre, puppet theatre. And so yeah, so she wanted me to dance this. She didn't want me to do Bharatanatyam at the festival. She said, you've learned some Sundanese to do it. And then I had to borrow a costume. So I went to the Indonesian embassy to ask, and that's beginning of Babur Khan was the ambassador at the time, and he's from Jogja, and he loves the classical Tari classic versus, so when they learned that I had learned some classical style of Sundanese, so that the rest was history. You have to dance for us at every event. So that was the beginning of my visiting Indonesia space. Because I'll tell you this little thing about space, the history of Islamabad, Pakistan. When there was a ban, the decade that there was ban on dance, the dancers didn't stop dancing. They just started dancing on foreign soil. And in Islamabad, that's the embassies. So if you can, that's not officially Pakistani soil. So that's, of course, way back, but not the time. But I've been so enriched by the love and experience Indonesia through the embassy, through the KBRI Islamabad, for you guys won't even imagine, to the respect that artists are. I just experienced that as a Pakistani, dancing for KBRI on the same stage and spaces. I would be dancing with no support, nothing. And then at the end of today's presentation, I will show you something that happened, a dream project, which actually started with Babur Khan. So Babur Khan, and he's trying to look up pictures, maybe Yoga, and later we will exchange more pictures. I was thinking I don't have too many pictures with Babur Khan, but I found this one. There's Babur Khan over there. And Yoga, are you here too? Maybe so these are all And I'm next to Pak Burhan in a classical sort of Javanese dress because I performed the Sulantan I had learned from my teacher. You're in the middle? Oh, wonderful. I'm glad that. Yeah. So very happening from my point of view. You guys always already know, but this was the beginning of my cultural diplomacy. And then this was not like it. Then Pa Burhan was inviting Masroso. He invited Masroso from Jogja. Do people know about Masroso? Anybody know about Masroso, who was a designer as well as a dancer? He passed away. What year was that? Like about 10 years ago, yeah. Of course, Yogi will tell you guys more. And that was actually his father who had all these visions of being. And then, and he asked me to collaborate with him. And I said, oh, we never dance on the music because we don't ever get musicians to give us that kind of time. We do recording. And that must be the first time I did like live music with the gamelan and Rosso and me. Anyway, so that was that. And he kept like, and he had this vision and dream to bring this collaboration to close to the Sultania. He had this dream to bring it to Jogja, and it wasn't meant to be at that time. But and then I'll come to the story of what happened later. So this is the one, Astro. So yes, I did find one picture. That's of course this is Maestro Indrawati, way back in 2010. And we're still in touch, but this is when I first learned with her. She wanted me to do a few collaboration with her and her team, and this is again Pakistani with another Alfianto. He's a EC docent now. At the time, he was exploring. So it led to a lot of like collaborations with in cultural diplomacy. Now, this one is interesting on the right. I put that picture here because that's in Jakarta, JNIC. And I'll just say a note, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar, maybe, probably not. Only the Pakistani students may experience if they try to go to the Indian embassy to ask for a visa form. And my experience was, my form is not even accepted, like it's a bomb. Like I was said, you can keep it, I'll pay for it. Like it's like you go to your country and you apply. So it's like that on both sides. So for me, I haven't been able to cross the border to officially, but I cross it with my dance. So this is a teacher, Sindhu Raj. She's the official Indian embassy teacher for Bharatanatyam. So I did join her group, and this collaboration was really interesting. Ibu Bulan, she's passed away now. She's it's some of you know, very famous Bandung-based Balinese maestro, but I think Jakarta. She moved to Jakarta. Yeah, she originally, I guess, was in and then she moved. So she had this wonderful collaboration of the Ramayana with Bharatanatyam and Balinese, and I was honored to be part of that. That's how I cross the border, because for a Pakistani, it's like that. Yes, for me and my husband have to go. He can get a visa in 2 days, and my form will not be accepted till I am still like or I don't know if I naturalize what will happen. So it led to a lot of exciting things, and this is Greta, by the way. Does anyone know about this figurine? Anybody? Okay. Yes, Juliana knows. So this is the oldest intact figurine of dance in the world. And it's lying in New Delhi, but you know where it's excavated? Mohenjo-daro, Pakistan. So this is now for dancers, it kind of become the symbol, of that history, that indigenous. So the oldest intact figurine. And of course, there's different scholars say different things about whether it's a dancing, but she's called officially the girl. Some say she's not, but so she becomes like a source, like for this Garuda and Mohenjo-daro. I will show you guys a clip at the end, but just to kind of connect to the story with Pa Burhan, and maybe Yoged, his son, don't know. Like I experienced, he had this vision. He called it the Golden Bridge of Harmony, and he wanted to bring Pakistani artists to the Kraton here. He did bring in, and we went to Lahore and we performed, but he wasn't able to complete that. But things don't finish with someone's like in this world And I experienced that with this project in 2019. Masioka, what year did, yeah, 50, 25, the past, right? So I was asked by the next ambassador at that time, so the work that you do, it may not seem like it's finished, but the way that I believe the spirits works and all. I had just, my daughter was just 2 months, and I was contacted by the Indonesian embassy that we'd like you to train some Pakistanis Indonesian dance. And I said, oh, I would like to bring a Indonesian dancer to Islamabad. So it worked. And, I think those seeds that were planted by Pak Burhan, finally, they came into fruition. For me, it was a dream project. And I hope that there will be part 2 of that. That's another one of my dreams. But it's, so for that, this is just an excerpt from the bigger dance drama. It was a 30-minute dance drama. And I'll show you. How are we on time, by the way? Oh, my. I better move quickly then. So I can always, yeah, because that's footage you won't see. So a lot of collaborations happening. And the last one was in Jogja now, in Magalang. And so, yeah, I really did think we were time, but as Anshu had asked questions about Peace to the Arts Workshop. So just to introduce you guys, like it's something when I devised it, peace activists who were from every possible discipline, not from the arts. And I call it like getting in touch with the artists within you and like kind of pushing people to pair and work with people that they don't normally, especially if they have ethnic, issues like the Indian Pakistani work together or like, so that, and in a very short period of time, produce some really interesting, and with the goal of that, your message for peace. So that there's some interesting things that came out of this, and now I'm continuing that work. And yeah, these were some of the questions Mas Anshu was asking. And so I hope it's okay. I just put it there. It was a WhatsApp message. What problems are faced by humans today that can be healed with your method? We can talk about in the discussion. I have answers for that. And the story I'm already sharing with you guys. And all right, since time is short, I'm going to skip a little. So this is the space that art is only. I love this quote from my favorite Arundhati Roy. And so we have to think outside. We have to think creatively. We have to like make the connection. So I see myself in my work as that bridge person, yeah, between different social science and humanities too, but then definitely between, in this context of what I've shared today, I come from a context of a lot of communal disharmony, which goes back to, and scholars say it's because the kind of the baggage of partition goes back to that. And then so many things that on top of that. So that's pretty much. So what I'm going to end here. So here I am in Java, and then I gifted myself this course from Cambridge Muslim College, Sheikh Murad. He visited, I think he toured all over on a scholarly visit to, maybe you guys might have even met him. So I took this course, and one of the teachers, his co-teacher was Nanak. And I just took this online course, and I'll just give this little message to students that you follow your heart and you'll be amazed. Like, I was just so blown away by everything she said because I didn't have access to much English material on that because my Bahasa still needs work. So then I contacted, like literally we connected online, and lo and behold, she came to visit me, and I didn't know that she's a dancer. She was in this very religious form. And then so we started this collaboration now. We already performed in Magalang at the Gunung Lima Festival. And it's something that I hope to also finish. It's in process. So end there. And we can talk more in questions. This is about my teaching. There's too much on my plate. But very much important is this. Maybe I'm excited to build communities here, meeting you all, and thinking of, I do a lot of collaborative explorations. I think it's really, there's some of the uses of traditional anthropologists with like, I'm very anti a lot of, gadgets and things. I'm very slow. But I have really discovered over these years, like this collaborative learning through like people like your CS is doing amazing stuff here. So yeah, this is one of the courses. We had Mass Echo. So this is actually my mentor, Peter Sellers. He's just amazing. You should look up his a lot of his talks. But he's a mentor of Mass Echo too. Ektanto and I were both around the same time at World Arts and Culture. So we both share that mentor, and Pasal, of course. So yes, yeah. So I will skip that. Can I show the video of this dance? Because this 2019 and the ending that yoga is also here is not yet available online. So maybe I will just play this. So I think this is the from Java to Indus dream which father had, Miss Yoga, that came through. And I hope it's just the beginning, but I'll show you guys just a glimpse of that. This is the whole group. We managed to have a people group. I will just show you the ending part and the beginning part. And I'm going to try and post it to my website. So because this is recorded by Pakistan P2V, but it's not yet been released. Yeah. It's a very historical moment to show Bharatnatyam on Pakistan national TV, believe me. So it was, I think, a big goes to Pakistan. They made this, P2V have made this kind of like, but we'll come to the real part when it starts. Skip that. Conceived this and then showed the work of maestros. So we, both Indonesian and Pakistani, my teacher and Ken, who I invited to come to Pakistan, she shared the work of her maestros. So we brought Indonesian, Pakistani maestros work and journey around my journey, I guess. So it's like this discovering Indonesia. So I'll skip. And the most interesting thing was the process Pakistani students of Hindu Mitta that I taught to do the Sulantan. But what we created, and this was done across countries. So I came in, we recorded, I took her music, and then with Hindu Mitta and the best maestros, our musicians, we created a music piece. And then I came here in Bandung, and then me and Kenny worked on that collaboration. So we brought new things for each of our repertoires. There's things you don't do in Bharatanatyam, and there's things that, are not that comfortable in Balinese. So you'll encounter in a bit. Around the Garuda. So this is a moment here when choreographically we come out of our comfort zone. Just came out of our taking steps towards each other. So I'll just end there at this ending. And so the message for me here was, and you can ask if you have any questions, I can tell you more, how the Garuda helping me. And then we see, let's see if you can guess what the Garuda is helping me. Okay, trick question. Let's see who can guess. Yes. Juliana, want to say something? Yeah, the posture. So it's the posture. It's the dancing girl. Yes. So, okay. So thank you. I will wrap up here.
So thank you very much. After the journey across the nation, raise your hand and we start the discussion. Okay, one and then two other questions. Okay, let's start. Okay, after you. Monggo, Mas.
Thank you, Ibu Ferial Amal Aslam, for your full and great presentation. Especially like the end dancing is very symbolic and so interesting. It's just beautiful. I can feel it. My question is, as a Muslim scholar dancer, who quoted the Murad on the beginning of your presentation about the purpose of ilm, how do you elaborate your ilm through your dance, through your soul and body? How do you respond with those things in correlation to the, say, the genocide in Palestine? Do you have project on that? Thank you.
It's a calling, Juliana, I'm telling you. Can you please share your names also? With
My name is Anta, Ibu.
Anta.
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 Yes.
Oh, so much Anta. Oh, my. I'm just going to take a moment here. This happened to us in Solo. Maybe Juliana can share a little about that. So, you're just being asked to ask that from the beginning. So, yeah, for me, I just first, before I answer that, because that is what I hope to do. Maybe I'm so glad you asked that question, that you said, I liked how you said it, that how do I
respond
to my, it's interesting what you said, the first line, that through my dance to this quote, yeah. And it's very good. I want to share that me as a dance scholar, what good is this? How has it helped me, right? This approach, my dance. So for me, in the past, and that I shared with you guys, it helped me be authentic. So growing up, yeah, in a context where if you dance, you're a prostitute. But I love this, I want to do this dance. And then my mother comes from interestingly, my father is journalist, as is very Marxist, maybe kind of views. And my mother comes from a line of scholars, Islam. And she still don't accept my dance. So it's a constant, like for me, my dance constantly keeps me authentic. In the context where everything is very black and white, it helped me navigate to my truth. That's what my Bharatanatyam sort of helped me in the context. So yes, now absolutely, that is a calling, and I think that's also why I've been last month when me and Juliana were invited as in the EC conference, very conference on ecology and art, and full title I'm forgetting, and we offered a we don't happens. What happens is when you open yourself, I'll tell you the name in a bit. When we open ourselves and offer ourselves with people and help, when you get connected to the artists in them, that's a bit of what I do in the workshops, the Bistro Art workshops. We don't know what's going to come out. And interestingly, in our workshops, we ended up collaborating, so it was 3 hours. The artwork that came out was Palestine. And it was not something that we asked anybody to do. We just forced, nudged people to work with people they want to work with, an artist, this method that I've developed. And a beautiful setting method Juliana has also. And yeah, so in short, it's what I want to do. And I am hoping that after this, we'll working on some collaboration. And so in short, an artist, what I feel is like inner peace, finding your inner peace. If you connect with the artist in you, and that artist can be, it doesn't have to, it's just an approach. And what I believe and I found is like, whatever is your medium of expression that comes naturally to you or gives you joy. When you spend more time with it and you for your message of peace, then you become this vessel for the divine. Yeah. So trying to do that, and thank you so much. It is an wish stage right now. Yeah, we will hopefully do something on that. Very important. So I think artists need to engage together. I guess that's the way.
Thank you very much. And I was really taken with what you said about the unfinished business partition. I this is I think this is a very good way of describing international relations in Asia, and not just India, Pakistan, but India, Bangladesh, and also in the Northeast, where partition took a very different form. But with the increasing amount of polarization, and particularly with the rise of ethno-religious nationalism in both India and Pakistan, is there a way that the types of performances that you're talking about can bridge this in this, in this increasingly not just political but cultural, artificially culturally constructed divide between between India and Pakistan?
Yeah, excellent question. And actually, and I'm excited to hear from your students, CRCS, that you're engaging with polarization. So I was just kind of also just hearing from Masraka was telling me that they had an interesting conference and you guys you shared some material with me. So I was just looking at that and yeah, so I just begin to look at that. But what comes to what I want to share, because I didn't get a chance to tell you a little about Peter Sellers, who I just about it's really interesting. I would love to do more of like that kind of work. So what Peter Sellers does, he of course works for like very like it's just like we're talking about the US and the best stages in the US. So he works for a very long time in setting these theater productions. And then it's not just a theater production. And he takes old and makes, kind of creative ways. He brings people together at the production. So he will bring actors and stakeholders and they'll invite them to like, so if there's refugee and immigrant question, like really difficult people who won't sit at the table. And then he would organize, I wish I could do a project like that. We must think about it, do that. He would organize a meal with the parties of like, so he's doing this incredible thing. And he started doing this, I think, recently. This is after I had already left, so I saw it online. So it's available. I can share links with you guys. So it's a really creative way. And by the end of like those performances, the person who is making the rules will never, like immigration will never meet this, the affectee or, migrant are actually like rules. They actually want to change some rules because they've met people at a people to level. So yes, it's a lot of work and it's very like butterfly wings, but like I would love to kind of help in that something like that at that kind of level, of course, and working together is the way. So getting our like-minded, like-hearted people and communities and artists and non-artists and other actors to work together. Yeah, we just gotta do what we do, It's, I guess I would say, my father was always very optimist. He was a very well-known journalist and he always saw this half full. And Parsal always reminded me of him too. So I think we have nothing to lose if we see that way. We just gotta do it. We can't do anything right. We do what we can do. And then when we work together and collaborate, then we're way, way, way more powerful and impactful. I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think you could say in South Asia that in a way that that these wounds of partition have never really healed, and that in a way they may have gotten worse over the generations because of the lack of any action. I don't know. It just
Yes and no, because there's now of the civil society, scholars, artists who are like around the world, South Asian origin, doing coming together. This SAPAN is called South Asian SAPPA and People's, I think, something like Pacific Network. Like they're people of all kinds of disciplines, and they do online interviews, they do events. Like the people are doing that in South Asia as well as in the diaspora. Yeah, maybe we don't hear them enough somehow. But yeah.
I do know of a somewhat similar case here, which is Ambon. And there, this is a much more recent conflict, but it's a conflict that in many ways, analytically, it parallels the partition of India in 1947. And some of us here were involved in somewhat a kind of an attempt to bridge that. It was a conference that was in Ambon. It was sponsored by a Christian university, maybe 7, 8 years ago. But what we found then was that there was so much distrust that the Muslims and the Christians literally would not talk to. And so that sort of attempt really failed. I mean, that would be this conference was at a Christian university, and it was supposed to be about music and peace building. And it was at a Christian university, and the Muslims didn't come. And we talked to some of the Muslims, and if it had been at a Muslim university, the Christians wouldn't have come. So, these divides. This is a very difficult undertaking that you've joined in, and I admire it a lot, and I to see it succeed. I'm somewhat skeptical for it, at least in the short run.
The first drops of rain important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Faryal, for such an amazing presentation. I want to ask about as you know, if we just take Pakistan and India, they were so much polarized on the basis of their culture and dance. Like within Pakistan, if we take two areas, they never compromise dance and culture. So in 1947, as you mentioned, that dance was mostly affected. So, and you take classical dance, which was considered as a Hindu dance, and Garoda dance was considered as a Hindu dance in Pakistan. So, how in peace building Pakistan accept this dance? Like how they will accept? Is it possible or not?
So how they will accept it? You mean like in the future or when we did it?
Like now, even in now and in 1947, is it possible for Pakistan to? I am not talking about India. Like just as a Pakistani is like, because like if there was any culture event or something, like the Pashtun never accept Punjabis dance. Like they want to represent their self, and the Punjabis also want to represent their self. So like how if we take Indian dance in peace building, not taking Pakistani dance?
Yeah, thank you for asking. You know, so it's even in the question, I more and more get passionate. The more I talk to my Pakistani students here, I get more passionate and motivated about the work I'm doing. So, so I think that, yes, you're absolutely right. There's right now like so many ethnic issues, right? So this is like recent. So what I think is important for me, I feel passionate about sharing and kind of hopefully also continuing on that is what we call Indian dance is not is our dance. So the thing is that it's the history. So because the whole generations way before you, mine, and like not 47, even it was like this part of this long partitioning process we've been brainwashed with, like in saying, just let go of this. This it's been a very long process. And I'll give you an example that my mentor, do you know Dr. Dani? Know the name of Dr. Dani? So you must look up. Dr. Ahmed Asandani is like a legend. He's passed away. I was fortunate to have in anthropology called him. He shared these stories, and in the classroom. And he said that, this is the time of martial law regime that I told you guys about. And this is Haq. His name was Chief Martial Law Administrator, the one who imposed the Islam. And this is just recent, right? Like this is just 1960s when martial law is imposed. Islamization of Pakistan, which is all Arabization. It's not anything to do with the land and so he was asked personally by the president, because the president called him, because I want you to write this dress that we wear. You are wearing, are you wearing shalwar kameez today? No. Okay. Something like this is shalwar, yeah. We have traditionally, if you must have seen Indian friends. And the president asked him, because he's a biggest name, sort of like archaeologist, world famous archaeologist from Pakistan, and he was alive. I want you to write that this is an Islamic dress. And Dr. Dani refused the president. He said, I cannot. Because the pants, do you know they're from the Kushans? You know, the dupatta that you're wearing, they're from the Huns. This is like the Central Asian history, but it's been written as like at that time. And for a lot of damage has been done, yeah, in like our affiliation just with. And he would say, no, our culture is not Arab. It's more closer to Central Asia than Middle East. The only thing we share, like, okay, like that's why I'm interested in this. I didn't talk about other Islams. This is a term that one of my advisors at UCLA, Niall Green, I'm sure many people who are in history of him, it's a term he would use in his classes. So he writes a lot about these other Islams, right? Indonesia, of course, Malaysia, and just new area for me. But that's what we're dealing with. So it's so important. I'm so glad you asked this question, but maybe for Asians, it's like not even a question, right? That's why I said my two audiences, because I keep feeling like there's so much work to be done there. Of course, there's here to, but for me, there's a lot more to keep doing with you, hopefully too. Yeah, to join in. And thank you for connecting with me, all the dear friends. Hopefully, I'll see with them. And talking to them was really amazing, because there's apparently you have Pakistani students from different parts of Pakistan. Like I'm from Jakarta. I'm from Islamabad. I grew up in Islamabad. I was Salat. So we don't always necessarily meet. So there's a lot of research, just like in Java in Pakistan, there's a lot of research on Punjab, Punjabization, and they're all parts. And these interesting. I love talking to the students from all these different parts of. And even though they're studying here, didn't know anything about Wayang and but how Islam was spread here through the Wayangs. That I'm sure you didn't know, right? The last time we talked about it. So there's so much. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with my two audiences. This is where the place I am. I don't know, Pasal, did I answer your question you asked me? Would you say your question again that you used to ask?
Thank you very much. I think it's very good lecture. We learned from your journey to dance, But it will be different, the answer, if we also includes how the artists themselves, try to get solution about this lot of question. For instance, I see the problem within Pakistani and Indian arts is like the Taiwanese and the Chinese, right? Because Taiwanese is coming from China, but they must have to create their own identity. You talk to the history, then, a lot of them in Chinese. But the Taiwanese themselves is try to say, I'm Taiwanese, I'm not Chinese. And then it is the job of the artist how to define the different identity dance. Closer to your area, I think is Bangladesh and India. Okay, so if you saw this time the creation of Akram Khan, who is not Bharatiyam but Kathak dancer, from Bangladesh and then going to London and becoming a great master there. They're not throwing their tradition, but they're developing their tradition in a new context. Okay, so they're creating a contemporary work. The team are still Indian or Bangladeshi team, but there are different things. I saw one of his great performance with Saudi Arabia Jerry from Africa, and it's a very nice performance. There is still Indian element or Bangladeshi element there, but it is not Bangladesh, or it is not Indian. It is Akram Khan works. It was acknowledged by the world, this one. So I think the question is something like that. So each of the country, each of the area, they have their own problem. Because if we talk performing arts, to me, the most important is the quality, and the artists are telling the truth, showing with quality. When we saw the performing art to, for instance, religions, or to economic, or to other aspect, the social aspect, cultural aspect, you'll have different way solution. It will be a long talk with this one, but I only talk this one, okay? And you already your own step, and I know where do you go. Like when I asked you, but you are coming from Pakistan, and I know living in Indonesia. What do you define yourself? Even when you say you are not a Pakistani living in Indonesia, but not Indonesian coming from Pakistan, and then who you are, in what position you want to call yourself, something that gives you comfortable to say, this is me, right? I'm a new Pakistani. I'm a new Pakistani woman. I'm an artist. I'm a scholar. And the answer is different from each person, different perspective. Thank you.
So much, Pasal, and I'll just take a moment. I'm so blessed to have mentors like this, Pasal, who nourish the students. I feel my teacher in Dumitta like that, and I just beginning in Indonesia dancing, and yeah. So I guess to answer what your question, which is like not maybe just not an answer, but it's just like reflections, yeah, on that is this question at the intersections of, and in this program. I'm also staying at the ICRS guest house. So it's also very reflecting for me. The pictures there of the different, faiths and reading about the amazing PhD interreligious studies program. I was just looking at the flyer. So the question that I think is mine to go deeper in right now is till it's unanswered is also is this place of the Islam, Perempuan Islam, women, performing arts. And as a practicing Muslim, like I like to call myself, I try to. And then I also, okay, maybe to answer this question, I'll tell you what happened with so I didn't used to wear a headscarf in 2018 for Hajj. And then when I came back from Hajj, it's just like personal. I just didn't feel like felt comfortable, felt right. I just kept it on. And then everyone started asking me, so what about your dance in Pakistan? I said, yeah, that's my dance is, my heart, my passion. And it's just something personal. And in Pakistan, it's a big issue like this. Like now you won't be dancing because you'll be in this category. People who cover their hair are here and the people who dance. So anyway, but I'm here, I live here, Nusantara is home. And so I'm exploring, and thanks to Paso introducing me to his students are all over Nusantara. So Pasal has students in, I accompanied Pasal in West Sumatra for coaching clinic, and in Minangkabau, which is also my sort of my husband's family. And then I also have been exploring Aceh and starting some conversations with dancers. So female Muslim dancers and just like myself. So just starting these conversations and the place, because we don't see a problem. Like we're passionate about practicing and we're passionate about our performance. But then there is this, empty space. And when you go to the biggest Islamic museum in Doha, Qatar, which I passed by, and I was like, my 6-year-old was constantly saying, Mama, where's the dance? Where's the dance? Where's the dance? She was like, when are we going to see some dance in this museum? There's no dance in the Islamic Art Museum. It's not going to be. So there's these questions. That's where I am with right now. And thank you for your guidance also. I think I live in Sunda, so I'm in touch with the performing artists there. And Sumatra and Aceh are great places for me to. I hope I would love to do a PhD here. Can I do a PhD in religious studies? Maybe, I don't know. So it's a beginning. I really feel like I need to spend a lot of time, but this is, I think, some work to do. And with these conversations, maybe for my daughter, for students here, female students or artists who want to be artists and who want to be, but they would like here. There's a lot of issues. The different issues with male artists encounter. So that's it's a gender issue there. It's a project. Yeah. I don't know. Just that reflection. But I'm really grateful. So please, I'd love to have feedback, and as we go from here, I have. Yes, I hope to learn. Yes.
Have time. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I yeah, at first I cannot speak English very well, but I'm trying to deliver my thought. And I am the general public related to this, so I didn't know very well about the in this dancing and so on. But I wondering related to one thing. It's a quite personal question. If you don't mind, you can answer my question. But if you think is it too private, you can keep it in. But related to the traditional costumes, just like I saw, and until now I see a lot of traditional costume, and I think in India or Pakistan too have a traditional costume related to the traditional dance.
sometimes I heard my friends, my female friends, taught me related about the Islam rules related to our costume, what they wear and so on. How do you feel as a dancer, and how do you think about the personal reflection related to the costume and then the dance and your inner peace, your when you perform the dancing using the costume that maybe some conservative people judge or so on related to the costume, and is it change or change the essential values that you tell to the people related to the story that you perform in dance and so on? And is it fundamental that you need to use the traditional costume, or is it okay if some dancer modify the costume? Yeah, it's like about the essential value that you reflect on.
Sorry, can you
Thank
share your
you.
name?
I am Esther.
Esther.
Actually, my study background, I study in Bachelor of Biotechnology and Education. So a little bit,
Yeah.
not related to the topic, but
No,
I'm
thank
wondering
you.
this thing.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for the question. So just the last part of your question is, already in this picture, because I did this. Oh, is it disconnected? Or maybe we're out of time, but it's okay. You saw the picture I put up, right? That is the costume modified by me. So there is that in that picture already a modification. Because if you can go on Google and if you put my name, you will see like me dancing without hijab and like things. It's there because I only started wearing a head covering 7 years ago. So because I didn't want to stop dancing, so there was this question. I discussed that with my teacher too, like how to modify the costume because I want to cover my hair. And even though she is like, obviously doesn't agree, but she's like maestro, like those kind of gurus like Pasal who they'll just want to support you in your journey, even they disagree with you. So she may not like me using a headdress and dancing, but she wants me to keep dancing. So yeah, so if you notice, like that's the traditional Bharatanatyam dress, green and red in the poster that you saw. That's from South India. So we maintain that for our performances because my teachers trained in this Kalakshetra style of dancing from South India. But then only me, who's kind of continuing to dance and want to wear her dress. So I add like a full sleeve, it's a personal, like you said. I'll answer it because it's the journey. And I think it's part of this already. I hope the conversations I'm hoping to continue having with other Muslim performing artists and Islam. Yeah. So interestingly, Ibu Bulan, another picture I shared with you guys, she's already done this in Indonesia. I was told by my co-collaborator, Kenny, that Ibu Bulan does Balinese dance. As you know, in Balinese, there's, it's not right. So she also worked on it for her group because they're mostly Muslim dancers. So they improvise during the costumes. So in Pakistan, I guess I'm the one doing it because there's only a few of us dancing. So I got to keep dancing, keep doing that. We'll debate on this over dinner. I don't know, does that answer part of your last part of your question? The first part, I forget now. Sorry, did I answer? There's one part I didn't answer. I forget now your first part. I should have written. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why do I dance? Yeah, so some of that I shared earlier. So it helps me because I guess this kind of this is a little Sufi approach that I have too, which is like the focusing on the heart knowledge. And it is like kind of connected also to finding to a lot of indigenous wisdoms, which we don't have access to. And sometimes with so much like all that's going on in the world and craziness around us, my dance keeps me grounded and it keeps me authentic, I feel. Yeah. Does that answer the question? So like, even if like, causing haram and we each have to follow our way. Yeah. Because who decides that? Like, and actually in Islam, the way I read it and understand it, in each faith, yeah, there is like, it's a very personal journey, right? And you have to peace in your heart. Like there's a Sufi, like kind of saying that you have to, a Muslim saying, I think I forget now, if your heart is if you're not undecided about something, you have to go and act on your heart. Is your heart is at peace? And that's a sign. I keep doing that. I don't know. Does that answer? You didn't tell me your name though. Thank you. I go on.
Another class after here. So from Java to Indus, we've journeyed through rhythm and memories. And as we live this piece, may we remember that, every small movement today, is already tons of hope. So thank you very much. Jangan lupa, don't forget to come again in Wednesday Forum 2 weeks. The next week, we don't have it, but after next week, we have it again. So thank you very much. And now, Mbak, so Mas Mike, yes, Mas Mike with a souvenir from ICRS and CRCS. This is also a ritual, our ritual today in CRCS. So thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Matur nuwun. Sampai ke lagi, matur nuwun.